The first test was when I had my husband read the draft, because I wouldn't let him look at anything, because he was like, can I see the first chapter? No, get out of here. I didn't want anybody's opinions or their worries to cloud it until it was out. And Sasha still hasn't read it.
Today, I am meeting the one and only Michelle Obama about her book.
My heart is racing.
I am so excited. We're gonna breathe the same air. It's gonna be
just amazing. I brought a friend with me.
Hey!
These are my BookTube friends.
Hi. Hey, BookTube friends.
Hi.
You've had a huge range of readers for this book, and I wonder what the kind of core takeaway or message you hope audiences would have, or you feel like audiences have had.
The little bitty journeys that I take you through in my life, that little Michelle Robinson that you fall in love with, you know, everyone has those stories. And that's what tells people who I am. It's not the 8 years in the White House. That's just sort of happened to, and then I was First Lady. But let me tell you what really helps you understand who I am. Yeah. It's those stories about my Aunt Robbie. It's understanding how we celebrated birthdays. Those stories give us all a wider insight into each other. And I hope that as a country, as a people, as a world, that we start appreciating the diversities of our stories and understanding that that's what makes us human, that's what makes us American, that's what makes us real.
I'm John Green. I'm a writer and YouTuber. There are a few books I want to recommend, all of which made me cry, although, to be fair, I am a bit teary of late. Today, I get to talk with Michelle Obama about her extraordinary memoir, Becoming. I thought the way you wrote about marriage in this book was absolutely astonishing and brilliant, and it really resonated very deeply with me, because when my book, The Fault in Our Stars, was published, my life became very different very suddenly, not on a like becoming president level, but different. And so I wonder if you could talk about the challenge of that and how you found a way to live with it.
People think about me and Barack as hashtag relationship goals. And usually when you have couples like that, all you see is the good stuff. You see the fist jabs and the loving touches and the moments that, you know, make people think, oh, aren't they great? But to me, I felt like if I'm not telling you how hard it was, I'm not being honest with you about what you need to do to build this thing that we have.
The book is resonating with so many people. People are recommending it to their friends and family, and I wonder if it's because it's such a deep celebration of community and of supporting one another.
This is why I stay hopeful, because I've gotten to really travel the country. Yeah. I'm actually meeting people, and that's something we don't do. We don't experience each other, we hear about each other. Yeah. My story is the American story. It just happened that I'm Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, that people may pick it up, but maybe why they finish it is because they see themselves in it.
My name is Ariel Bassett. I've been making YouTube videos since I was 16.
I have some sort of a book reading disorder that I need help with, honestly.
I wanted to ask you today about swerving, which is the ability to look around at your context and think, things have shifted. I was aiming for a goal, and it is maybe no longer what I'm aiming for. And then deciding to change, right?
And having the courage to do it.
Why do you think earlier in your life it was difficult for you to swerve?
Because I was in that first generation of kids to get to go to college, right? And I write about how I understood the financial sacrifice that my parents were making. You know, I talk about the trip to France and how I didn't even want to ask to go because I didn't want to put that burden on my family. So when you're a kid that's going to college and embarking on a journey and you feel like you don't have the room to stumble, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of it is affording the swerve.
Yes.
Affording a broader vision, you know, being able to afford to make some mistakes. And A lot of working class kids or kids that don't come from wealth,
Yeah.
we don't always feel like we should test the waters in that way
Yeah.
because so much is riding on it.
Yes, it's risk.
You know, so the thought of like, okay, what do you do with this expensive degree? Well, you better parlay it into a lawyer. Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds like something that works. And also socioeconomically, I realized I just didn't know that much about what to be. You know, I grew up in a household of teachers and postal workers, and I didn't know about television production. I didn't know what a lawyer was. I didn't know that you could run a nonprofit. I didn't know about careers in government. So my vision was limited by what I knew, and I only knew what was before me. So while I believe in swerving, I understand why so many people don't feel like they have the luxury to swerve.
Coming from a working class family, a lot of Black women who come from economically disadvantaged families tend to think that their families can't do anything for them. We're kind of ashamed of coming from where we come from. And so seeing all the ways that your family within their means really did support you and really kind of helped you develop into yourself is really important.
Well, and that's the point. You said, within their means. My brother and I were talking on the airplane, and we were like, the least thing that was important to us was stuff. It was the love. It was the unconditional support. It was the having your back in small ways, and that doesn't have a salary cap on it. I understood how valuable it was not to live in a big house, not to drive a nice car, but to have parents and a family who loved me. And that's the message to a lot of parents out there. If you have love and honesty and values to bring, that is the most important thing you can give a child.
I'm Julie, a YouTube content creator. I have a movement called Smart Brown Girl, where I meet my audience at the intersection of pop culture and political history. And I'm about to meet Michelle Obama. Like, can you believe it?
It's gonna happen in the next maybe 2-3 years, it might take. But I'm getting invited to an Obama something.
I just can't. We are gonna do a rapid fire fiction, nonfiction.
I'm ready.
Your husband picked you up in a car with a hole at the bottom of it.
Oh, heck yeah.
So how?
This yellow Datsun that used to shake violently, and then we started driving and I can see the street, the pavement passing, and I'm like, dude.
I actually discuss a lot with my audience about how when we prioritize intimate partnerships, we really do a disservice to how bountiful other relationships in our life can be. So what I appreciate is how you do acknowledge the diverse range of relationships you've had in your life.
I was always the kid who loved a posse, you know, my little girl group. Sometimes all you need is to be heard by people who care about you. I learned going to college that when you're out of your comfort zone, that the first thing you need to do is build your own community. You do need your posse. And nothing replaces the human connection that we get from our friendships, aside from our partners. And I love my husband, but there are times I need to go to my friends to talk about my husband.
Right, yeah.
And then I went home and I was like, oh, you're not so bad.
I wonder how you were able to control your emotions as you were writing, or were you able to? Like, did you have to go to those places, to the place of deep grief, to the place of great joy, to the place of fear while you were writing?
Yes, yes, yes. The chapter where I go through the, dehumanization. I'd been mocked and threatened many times now, cut down for being Black, female, and vocal. I'd felt the derision directed at my body, the literal space I occupied in the world. And I was like, I want every negative thing that was said written, because I wanted people to remember that this happened to me. The woman who's an icon, or whatever you want to call me. But I think it was important for people to fall in love with that little girl, Michelle, then take her through that period where you feel like they don't even know her, right? And you can only go there if I go there, right?
But if you can get through it, it's like, well, then we can get through it.
Well, but it's also a cautionary tale of see how quickly we demonize people we don't know. There is a deep fundamental flaw in us when we don't know each other. And when others are trying to use fear as a way to gain control. So it's easy to treat that immigrant or to generalize or to see that gay kid because you don't know their story. That's why I say in the book, it's harder to hate up close So let's let each other in a bit more.
One thing that I think kind of really spoke to me was how important it is for successful people, and anyone really, to kind of block out those critics and naysayers. And I think that's something we all struggle with, especially because of social media. We can like hear and see what everybody is saying. And I know I'm guilty sometimes of being like, I want to see what is that person saying. And I'm curious to just hear your advice when you're dealing with insecurity or when you are letting those negative things kind of get to you. What are some of the ways that you're able to kind of overcome those messages?
It is a great question, and it is important for your generation. I talk to my kids about this all the time. What do? I turn it off. It's like you can't.
Wait, what?
You can't read it. I mean, I tried everything. I tried reading the good and the bad, and I tried reading in the dark and reading it when I felt good about myself. But I always say this, it's like you would never stand in the middle of the town square and let people spit on you. No one in their right mind would just show up and be like, okay, world, just spit on me. Because that's what's happening. Yeah. It's like people are just spitting. They don't know why. They don't know you. They're just spitting. Why would you take that in? So it's developing the discipline of when you're in those spaces, you can't read that stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, I needed you to tell me this to make it real, and now it's real.
Stop reading that stuff.
Hey, I'm Francesca Ramsey, but most people online know me as Cheska Lee. And I also recently wrote a book called Well, That Escalated Quickly, Memoirs and Mistakes of an Accidental Activist. What I loved about the ending of this book was that you talked about how important it is for us to really just see each other and let each other in, because that's what's so important to being human.
Let's invite one another in. Maybe then we can begin to fear less, to make fewer wrong assumptions, to let go of the biases and stereotypes that unnecessarily divide us. Maybe we can better embrace the ways we are the same. It's not about being perfect. It's not about where you get yourself in the end. There's power in allowing yourself to be known and heard, in owning your unique story, in using your authentic voice. And there's grace in being willing to know and hear others. This, for me, is how we become.
Can you just talk a little bit about why you wanted to end the book in that way?
The power in my journey wasn't in the last 8 years. It was in those first chapters of all those little stories and challenges and triumphs. In order to have a voice in the world, to be able to speak up for yourself, to speak up at any table, you have to believe in your story. Because if you're hiding the fundamental truth and value of who you are, how can you use your words to speak up for yourself or anyone else? And I think that that's part of our challenge. So many of us, regardless of race or religion or background, we are taught to be ashamed of the things that aren't perfect. And when you're hiding anything, it's hard to be out front on issues that you care about because you think someone's gonna discover that I am not perfect. Right. We're all not perfect. We are all beautifully imperfect. And what makes us so beautifully imperfect are our stories, the journeys that we're on. And when we start sharing them, we'll find that we are so much more alike than we ever thought we were. Our hurts, our pains, our losses, our fears, our doubts, those stories are resonating because that's who we are.
Was there anything about the process of writing and recording the audiobook that was unexpected or particularly memorable?
I loved my process, the raw emotions of coming out exhausted. I needed to say it. I needed to have it heard, and then I could process it. It was therapy, right?
Yeah.
Becoming saner. If I think of how I wanted the stories to come out, I think of the storytellers I loved. You know, I wanted there to be sections in there that took you to the place where you could be in my room and see the tree and feel the, you know, I wanted people to be able to feel it like good storytellers.
What are some of your favorite books, and do you have any like special memories surrounding those books?
One of my favorite books in the whole world is Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon. And I always think, I wonder why do I love this book so much? And then I pick it up in the first page, I'm like, oh, the words, the story, the characters. Another book that I connect really good memories to is Life of Pi. It's the one book that me, Barack, and the girls read together.
Sometimes the books that you read in community make the community stronger, and that
Well, that's
in turn,
the best way to read a book. That's why we
I think
have
so too.
the book club here, is be able to read and discuss it with friends.
The shared experience.
Yeah.
My name is Kat O'Keefe from the YouTube channel Katie-tastic.
Let's get this book haul show on the road.
I'm Jesse from the YouTube channel Jesse the Reader. I've been making fun bookish content since 2012.
Lately, I've been feeling like going to Barnes & Noble and just buying everything.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Gotta be fast.
Okay.
Who inspires you?
Kids, young kids,
What is your current read?
educated, good book.
What's your favorite song right now?
Oh, I am loving Daniel Caesar's album Freudian.
And can I get you to do your go-to dance move?
Oh gosh, I don't know that I have a move. I just have a, you know, I'm at that age now where you try not to do the name dances or else your daughter's like, stop.
How do you organize your books? By title, by author, by color?
Ooh,
Do you have
no.
a method at all?
Not a method.
Not a
It's
method.
just like which shelf is free
Right.
in a stack.
Wherever you can fit that book.
Yeah.
Your book is so inspiring, so I thought we could do some rapid fire pep talks, like 10-second pep talks for
All
certain
right.
situations.
Okay.
Can we get a pep talk for a lawyer out there about to take the bar?
Go to bar review because you didn't learn anything about law in law school. So take the exam, take the test, you're gonna be fine. And if you're not, you'll take it again and it'll be okay.
Give us a pep talk for a kid who can't master the piano. They're really struggling.
First of all, be patient with yourself. Ask your teacher if she'll teach you a song that you actually wanna learn.
And finally, for somebody who was just told that they're not good enough.
Just focus on the voices that are positive in your life because I know that for every person that tells you no, there are probably 10 who are telling you yes. Do you feel better now?
I feel better.
I feel a lot better. I do. I feel
We're gonna be fine.
Yes.
thank you so much, both for taking the time to talk with us
thank you,
today,
guys.
but also for your extraordinary book, which we all loved so much.